In this subsection, we're examining in more detail the dangers of a vehicle exiting a side road but being oblivious to any oncoming traffic. And this could be for a number of reasons, as we'll examine in each of the successive real-life clips to follow. I've set up the animation in a way to indicate that there are no other vehicles or pedestrians, cyclists, and so on the road to distract the attention of the driver of the red vehicle. In addition to that, the view of the oncoming green vehicle is not obscured in any way, so there should be no reason why the driver of the red vehicle should not see the driver of the green vehicle and yet continue straight ahead into the path of the green vehicle. So why would that be the case? Well, we'll discuss in the real-life clips to follow a possible reason as to why a scenario such as this could arise. In the real-life clip, we've got a vehicle exiting from the side road over here, a truck approaching, and so there's nothing to obscure the visibility of the truck from the driver of the car exiting from the side road. There are also no other vehicles to distract the driver of the car, and yet he continues to roll across the road directly into the path of the truck. So why would that be? Nothing to distract the driver, visibility is clear, and yet still proceeds into the path of the truck. Let's have a look at the next clip as well, and then we'll discuss a possible reason. So here we've got a vehicle exiting again from a side road. We do have a truck that's coming past a car that's turning into the side road, so the driver could have been preoccupied with the movement of these vehicles, but they do pass, and now at this point, there should be no reason why the driver of this vehicle does not see the approaching camera, and judging by the height at which this video is taken, it indicates that this is a truck of sorts, or perhaps a bus, but in any case, a large vehicle, so even more so that it should be visible to the driver of this vehicle. There's enough distance and time between the driver of this vehicle and the approaching camera to be able to either stop or quickly accelerate to get across the road, and yet we see that the driver just continues slowly across the road without changing speed at all, which indicates his obliviousness to the approaching camera. So if you look at the angle of this vehicle, we see that it's actually turning in the direction of the camera, so because of that, his view should be even more visible of the approaching vehicle. If he was turning perhaps towards his right, then one could maybe understand that his view is now becoming more and more restricted, but due to the fact that he's turning towards the oncoming traffic, he should have been even more aware of the approaching traffic. So why would a situation such as this arise? Well, we did mention in a previous video, also discussing obliviousness, that it could be that there are many problems that are weighing on the minds of people. And so people face so many different problems today. And because of that, their minds are preoccupied with the thoughts of trying to resolve their particular problem, that they don't actually take note of what's happening around them. So visibility is not obscured. Physically, the view is clear enough to see what's happening, but mentally, they're not cognizant or aware of what's happening outside the vehicle. And because of this, although physically they can see an approaching vehicle, they don't actually perceive that threat because mentally they're not actually processing that information. So their mind's preoccupied on their inner thoughts instead of taking note of what's the external stimuli are. And so that's possibly a reason, such as we see in this particular clip, as to why a driver would progress into the path of an oncoming vehicle. So bear that in mind as you're traveling along. Never just assume that you're visible and so people would have seen you. They may have seen you but may not have perceived that you're actually approaching. And so those two golden rules, the second and the third golden rule, expect the unexpected. So don't just assume that people will have seen you and so you're safe to progress, expect that somebody's going to actually shoot into your path. And because of that, the third golden rule, you want to plan ahead. So you already have an escape route in mind in case a scenario such as this arises, and then you're able to try and avert that danger. This is an interesting clip because if, as a driver, you're aware of your surroundings, then you'll notice some telltale signs. For instance, we see a skid mark over here. Now notice that skid mark is actually angled away from the center of the road. So its trajectory is away from this side of the road. So that indicates then that whoever had been in the situation where they slammed on brakes, they were trying to avoid or swerve out of the path of something. And what would that have been? Well, in all likelihood, it would have been a vehicle that's exiting from the side road here. So as the vehicle exits, driver's traveling along, perhaps at speed, slams on brakes, and now tries to avoid collision with the exiting vehicle, and he's swerving towards what would be their left. So if you're in an area such as this or something similar to this, and you see such a skid mark, then already that should be a telltale sign and a warning to you that this could be a possibly dangerous area, especially if there are multiple skid marks. So let's just advance the video. We see that the vehicle does exit the side road, oblivious of the van. There is that collision. And now if I just halt the video, now we've got another skid mark. So there's more than one skid mark and the same trajectory trying to swerve or avoid a vehicle. And so for you as a driver coming along and seeing a situation such as this, then immediately you know that this particular junction is a danger area. And so you're more cautious or more alert to any vehicles then exiting from the side road. This clip's also an interesting clip because this is a scenario that happens from time to time. It's not uncommon. And just to explain the situation to you before we actually run this clip, we've got a camera that's approaching and wanting to turn into the side road. Now what happens is that the camera slows down, it even comes to a stop because of the approaching truck. This oncoming traffic is waiting for this traffic to pass before turning into the side road. But the actions of the camera are misread by the driver of the vehicle that's exiting from the side road. So this driver is now assuming that because the camera is slowing down or coming to a stop, that the driver is being courteous, and so is allowing them now the brake to be able to cross over the road. Instead of realizing that the reason why the camera is slowing down or stopping is because of the oncoming traffic, not being courteous to them to give them a brake to cross over the road. Let's just run it. So there we see the driver trying to exit across the road instead of realizing that the reason the cameras stopped was because of the oncoming traffic. Fortunately, the driver of the truck was quite alert, was able to brake in time before any serious collision or impact. And no doubt the hill also helped in being able to slow down this larger vehicle, weightier vehicle. This next clip is demonstrating exactly the same thing, excepting this is from the perspective of the side road. So what's happening here again is that this vehicle has come to a stop in order to allow any approaching traffic from the left side here to first pass before going into the side road. But the driver ahead misconstrues what's happening and thinks that this driver is being courteous, giving him a brake to be able to cross over the road, and so is oblivious to any traffic approaching from the left side here and misunderstands the whole situation. Crosses over the road, and there's the collision. Yeah, we've got something that's a little bit similar, but not quite the same. So the camera is wanting also to turn into the side road, Now, the camera doesn't slow down or come to a stop because of oncoming traffic. There is a vehicle over here, but by the time the camera reaches that point, this vehicle's passed out the way. And so this vehicle in the distance is still too far behind to pose any restriction to the camera crossing into the side road. But what happens here is that the vehicle exiting from the side road now notices this vehicle. His attention's occupied with this vehicle passing before progressing further along the road. He may have noticed the camera coming along, but now assumes that the camera is actually going to continue straight. Doesn't realize that the camera is actually slowing down in order to turn it into the side road. So now his attention is focused on this passing vehicle, doesn't give a second thought to the camera, and as the camera approaches now, thinks it's clear to go, and so now crosses over to the other side of the road. So be careful of that. If you're traveling along and you now slow down in order to enter into a side road and there's a car waiting now to exit the side road, that driver may have assumed that you're just going to continue straight down the road here and may not perceive that you're actually slowing down in order to turn into the side road, and so now exits from the side road. And so you'll find, probably as I have, that this has happened from time to time to me, where they're oblivious to you, having slowed down, wanting to turn into the side road, and so they just progress across the road. So be cautious of that. I've included this clip because what I want to show you, I'm going to progress this clip just frame by frame, because what we have here is the driver of a truck exiting from the side road. And what I want to show you in the frame as we go along is that the driver is not actually looking to his right for any approaching vehicles. Maybe he had noticed the camera coming along, and so his attention might have been sort of more directed in this direction. And it's only at the last moment that he actually realizes now he needs to look to his right side for any approaching vehicles, but by then it is too late. So let's just advance the video frame by frame. So here's the driver. You can just see his face over there. He's not looking to his right side. He's looking straight ahead. And at this point, even a little bit to his left instead of to his right. Continues right into the path of the oncoming truck. And now only at this point does he look to his right to see that there's an oncoming vehicle. And there's the collision. So why I've included this clip is that it may be you coming along in this direction here and you're visible. So there was nothing to obscure your visibility. And you might just assume that the driver of the vehicle exiting from the side road would have seen you. The natural thing would have been for the driver to look to his right first of all. But we can't just assume that. And so as we're driving along, we've got to expect that a driver is just going to encroach into our path. And so we're already planning ahead for that eventuality. And so the main point here, once again, is don't just assume things as you're driving along. That's one of the most crucial mistakes that we can actually make on the road, is that we assume that other drivers are going to actually do the right thing. In fact, if there's any assumptions to be made, we must assume that they're going to do the wrong thing. So we're driving along here, we're actually assuming then that this driver is going to pull into our path. And what are we going to do then? And if we've got that mindset, well, then we've actually partially accomplished the purpose of this course, to try and prepare us to plan ahead. So we've got to expect the unexpected, but also develop the skills to plan an escape route that would be best suited for that particular point in time. In this clip, we have a driver, once again, exiting from the side road. And you can see that his mind or his thoughts are occupied on this truck that's actually approaching from his right. So he's actually viewing this truck, and he's sort of timing his progress across the road just in time for this truck to be able to pass. So he's totally oblivious to the truck that's actually approaching from his left side. So if you go back and you play this video, advance it frame by frame, you'll see that he had waited in the side here just until the point that this truck had passed, and now it progressed across. In a situation such as this, where there are other vehicles in the area, then we've got to be cautious to realize that their attention may be focused on the other vehicles instead of yourself coming along as this truck driver did. So be aware that people may be oblivious to your presence. I've included this clip because the camera is a little bit to the side of the main path of traffic. So there are vehicles coming down this side, and this vehicle exiting from the side road is no doubt having a look at the flow of vehicles coming in this direction. And so his attention is not really focused on the camera, because he assumes that the camera is just to the side of the road, and so thinks it's clear once there's a break in traffic, and is oblivious to the camera now pulling off into the main lane. And there's that collision. So if you're approaching from a direction or position that others wouldn't expect, then also be a little bit more cautious, because of realizing that they may not be taking your movement or your position into account, being focused more on the main lane of traffic. So you can go back and just review that and see where the danger was there. In this clip, we can see it's quite a fast-flowing lane, and there's a vehicle on the side here wanting to exit from the side road into the main lane. So in a case like this, where you're traveling at a higher speed and there is a vehicle to the side, if it's suitable, then rather to be in the lane that's further from where any danger would be. So if the camera was traveling in the left lane, then he'd be further from any vehicles wanting to enter from the side road. In addition to that, this is the faster lane, so the chances are that any vehicles entering into the main lane would want to enter into the slower lane instead. But now, because the camera is traveling in this lane, the vehicle sees the camera coming along and sees the camera in the right lane, and so thinks, okay, it's clear now to go into the left lane. But then the camera, trying to avoid the vehicle, moves into the left lane, and there's a collision. The point here again, where you can, always try to be in a lane that's further from the point of danger. So as was explained, in this case it would have been better had the camera been traveling down the left lane. So this is a good example of expecting the unexpected. We've got a driver exiting from a side road here, but in this case, this driver is not oblivious. This driver has seen the traffic that's approaching, has waited on the side here for the traffic to pass, but something else arises. So see if you can guess what that is. Give you a few seconds. Something unexpected happens here. Let's play it and see if your guess was right. I bet you weren't expecting that. So the oblivious driver is not the one that's waiting on the side road here, but it's actually the driver behind him, oblivious to a vehicle ahead, and so actually rides directly into the back of this vehicle and now pushes this vehicle into the path of the main traffic. And there we have a collision. So that's a very good example of expecting the unexpected. What I just want to point out is that with the montage videos that follow the instructional part of the videos, that they're also there for a very important reason, because what the montage does is that it repeats the type of problem that's being discussed in the video over and over. So through a process of repetition, you get to become more familiar with that particular danger. So you'll find that most of the instructional videos have the montage section that follows the instructional videos. And so as you're going through this montage section, each clip, see if you can try and predict where the problem is going to arise and plan an escape route. And so this is a vital training tool that you can use to help you to become familiar where the common danger areas are and what you can try and do to be able to avert such a danger. So make good use of the montage section and watch the videos right through to the end, because just through the process of repetition, through the clips in the montage, you become more familiar mentally with those danger areas. And so in real life, when such a situation does arise, because you mentally have imprinted on your mind that particular danger area, you're now more familiar with the situation as it does arise. So watch each video all the way through to the end. In addition to that, by watching a video right through to the end, it actually improves the ranking of the video in the YouTube algorithm, and so that helps to promote the video as well. So that will help me to get the videos out to others, to help to make our streets safer by watching the videos right through to the end. And if you haven't done so already, also subscribe and click on the notification bell icon so that any new videos that are uploaded, you'll be immediately notified of that. But by subscribing, that also helps me to be able to extend and expand the reach of the videos to a lot more people. Enjoy the rest of the course.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.